Hello. Today we are going to be looking at how to solve the Pythagorean theorem and the uses for it and how it can help us solve some future problems. The Pythagorean theorem works with what we call a right triangle. That's where you have a right angle at 90 degrees. Now this triangle I drew for you, I just want to show you. Remember, a right triangle can be in any position. It doesn't have to be perfectly up and down, left and right. I'll leave it similar like this right now and we can solve our problem. As I begin to do this problem, go ahead and copy this triangle into your MJ and follow along as I do the work here. The official formula, which you will see, is called a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Whoops, sorry. My marker ran off the page. Squared. The other name for it, and I think it might be quicker if I just type it up, is if I do the leg and I square it, and then I do the second leg and I square that, you should equal, whoops, didn't come back down, will equal the hypotenuse squared. Both of these equations are in fact the same equation, it's just a different way to write it. The C corresponds with the hypotenuse, and the A and the B are both the legs. So when you look at a triangle, the most important piece of it is the hypotenuse, which is C and the hypotenuse. Again, those are both the same thing. The hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side of the triangle. Another way to think about it is it's the one that's across from the right angle. So we can go ahead and label that side C. The legs now are the two shorter ones that come together to make the right angle. These ones you can see, I could add leg 1 plus leg 2 and I'm going to equal the same thing. So it really doesn't matter which one is A and which side is B. Again, the important part was that C was the hypotenuse across the other side. Alright, let's try some numbers with this. I'm going to go ahead and different color, let's use green now. Let's call, how about this side down here is going to be 2 inches. This side right here is going to be 3 inches. And we want to try to find out this side over here we'll call x. If we use our equation up here, what we're going to need to do is we want to add our two legs, A and B, which ends up being 2 plus 3 should equal the hypotenuse, which is what we're trying to find. Now, you'll notice I left out a big piece of this whole equation is that our little squares here. So make sure, it's a common mistake to forget that it's actually 2 squared plus 3 squared, and then that's going to equal x squared. Now something that we've been working with in class is this thing called the wall. Whenever you solve an equation, make sure you draw the wall so that you are keeping yourself nice and straight as you are working through. Let's start solving this equation now. I'm going to simplify. I have 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. And that's going to equal x squared. I didn't do anything to this right side, which is why I'm just going to rewrite it like this. Again, I can simplify on the left. 4 plus 9 is 13 is equal to x squared. Okay, now what we've just been working on in class is the concept of a square root. I need to find something times something that's going to equal 13. And in this case, it doesn't look like it's going to be a perfect square, meaning that there's no two sides. If I made a square here, I couldn't ever get 13 in the middle because I can't ever find an area where base times height is going to be 13. It's not going to be an even number. So in this case, what we need to do is we end up taking the square root. So if I take the opposite of squared is the square root, this funky looking check sign, of both sides. On the right side now, if you take the square root and a square, you cancel it out and all you're left with is x is equal to. Now, if you use a calculator, you can actually find the exact answer, but for right now, you can just leave your answer as the square root of 13. The answer is going to be somewhere in between, well, we know that 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, and so my answer is going to be somewhere in between 3 and 4. Again, you can go ahead and do that with the calculator if you'd like to, but it's not necessary right now. With that said, make sure you bring any questions that you have about this problem. We are going to be doing more examples with this in class. I just wanted to make sure that you had one you can look at while you're at home. Have a great afternoon.